I'm going to start by writing the given. And I always want to write the how I'm measuring plus the what I'm measuring. Don't want that stuff, so I'm going to put it down there. Only one thing I can change grams to. That's the mole. So grams to mole. It's always the same substance. When I go grams to moles, it's always 1 mole. And then for my mercury, my Hg, I'm going to look it up on the periodic table. And rounding to tenths, that's the molar mass. Now I'm going to cross off things I don't need. Things that cancel out, reduce down to 1. Alright, I'm in moles of Hg, but the question is asking for grams of calcium oxide. Okay, so I don't want Hg, I want calcium oxide. That means I'm going to transfer this. So I want to go one chemical to a different chemical, and that's a mole to mole ratio. I'm looking for calcium oxide, so there's calcium oxide. Now the ratio those work in, I just take my coefficients. I have 4 CaOs, and I have 4 Hgs. Cross off my units that are the same. Moles of CaO, I want grams, so I got to go another fraction. Moles, what can I change to? I can always go moles to grams, and I'm looking for grams, so I'll go to grams right here. It's always 1 mole. I have 1 calcium, I have 1 oxygen. I look up calcium on the periodic table, round it to tenths, and I look up oxygen, and I'm going to add those together. That's my molar mass. That goes right there. Those cross off because anything over itself equals 1. And then I'm just going to multiply and divide that out. So everything on top divided by everything on the bottom. Make sure to parenthesize that. Alright, my given, this much stuff reacts. So that's my given. I don't want this stuff. So I'm going to put it down there. And I do want moles. I can always go grams to moles. Actually, that's the only thing I can go to is grams to moles. How many moles? It's always 1 mole. How many grams? Well, I write down my formula. I got 4 phosphorus, and I have 10 oxygens. And if I look up phosphorus on the periodic table and round it to tenths, and then I multiply that across. Oxygen, I look it up at 16, and I multiply that across. And I add down, and I take that number and I plug it in for my grams. Anything over itself equals 1, so I cancel that out. Now, am I finished? I'm in moles of P4O10. It's asking for moles of H3PO4, so I got to keep going. So since I'm not done, I'm going to take these units here, and I'm going to change it to what I want. Now my mole-to-mole ratio, there's a 4 in front of here, and there's a 1 in front of here. I'm going to cross off the units that are the same. Now I look, I'm in moles of H3PO4, and the question says how many moles of H3PO4, so I'm not going to go any farther. I'm done. I'm just going to calculate an answer. I'm going to take everything on top, multiply it by everything on the bottom. Alright, I'm going to start off with my given. Again, don't worry about the word excess or anything like that. I got 10 moles of water. And I don't want the water. Now, what do I want? I want this chemical here. Okay, so that's a mole-to-mole ratio. And my ratio, well, I go to my equation. I have 6 H2Os for every 4 H3PO4s. I'll cross off as I go. Now I'm in moles of the stuff that I want. But now it's asking for grams, so I got to do one more. So I don't want moles of this stuff, so I take the units, I put it down here. And on top I want grams. My chemical units are always the same, and I'm going from moles to grams. It's always 1 mole. And to figure out my grams, I'm going to take my formula. I have 3 hydrogens, 1 phosphorus, and 4 oxygens. I look up hydrogen on the periodic table. It's 1. I look up phosphorus on the periodic table. I round it to tenths. And I look up oxygen on the periodic table, and that's my molar mass. And I'm done because I have grams of my substance. I'm looking for grams of this substance, so it's the same thing. And I just multiply across. Everything on top divided by everything on the bottom. Alright, on this one, my given. I don't want liters of CH4, so I'm going to put it on the bottom. Only one thing I can change liters to, and that's moles. It's always the same substance, always 1 mole, always 22.4 liters. Cross off my givens. I'm looking for liters of hydrogen, so I got to keep going because I'm not there. So I take my given, I put it down there to cancel. Now I want to get out of CH4 and into hydrogen. So that means a mole-to-mole ratio. I go to my equation, 4 H2s for every 1 CH4. Cross off my like units. I'm in moles of H2, but I want liters, so I got to keep going. I'm going to take the units, put them down there. I can go now to liters. It's always 1 mole, and it's always 22.4 liters. And I'm going to multiply across, divide by what's on the bottom. Okay, this one's a lot like the last problem. I'm going to start off with my given. Make sure you write the liters and the chemical. Okay, I don't want liters, so I'm going to put it on the bottom. The only thing I can change liters to is moles of the same stuff. It's always 1 mole. It's always 22.4 liters. Cross off my like units. I'm in moles of NO, but I want NH3. So I want to get out of NO. I want to get out of NO, so I'll put it on the bottom. And I want to get into NH3. My ratio, my multimole ratio, I got 4 NH3s for 6 NOs. Cross off my like units. Now I'm in moles of NH3, but I want liters. So I got to keep going. Take my given. I'm trying to get to liters, and I can get to liters now. I can go from moles to liters of the same substance. It's always 22.4. It's always 1 mole. And I'm going to multiply and divide that across. Alright, so I'm starting with my given 126 grams of glucose. Glucose is this guy right here. And it tells you that in the problem. I don't want grams of that stuff. The only thing I can change grams to is moles of the same stuff. Make sure you write the chemical formula each time. Okay, it's 1 mole. It's always 1 mole for grams. To figure out my molar mass, I'm going to write down the formula. I go to my periodic table. I look up carbon. I look up hydrogen. And I look up oxygen. I multiply across. Whoops. That should be... Oh, that was right before. 1. And I'm going to add those. And I'm going to put that up there. That's my molar mass. Cross off my like units. Okay, I don't want moles of this stuff. I don't want moles of sucrose or glucose in this case. I want carbon dioxide. So I want to get out of this chemical and into the one I do want. Now that's a multimole ratio. So I'm going to take my numbers from here. There's a 1 there, even though it's not written. And there's a 6 in front of CO2. Cross off my matching units. I'm in moles of CO2, but I want liters of CO2. So I'm going to keep going. Take the units I have over here. Now for moles, I can go right to liters. And this is a constant. It's always 1 mole. It's always 22.4 liters. And cross off my like units. I'm in liters of CO2. That's what the question asks. I'm going to multiply straight across. Divide by 180. So 126 times 6 times 22.4 divided by 180. And that's my answer.